Hello everyone, welcome back to my Crafts by the Bow page. This week I'm going to use the same stamp set and the same layout for all of my cards. And this is a card that I actually made for Canadian Thanksgiving. So we had our Thanksgiving just over a week ago, and this was my card that I sent out to friends. It's a really easy layout, a really simple card to make, but it was so pretty. And I used the Cottage Wreaths. I used this one, and then the wooden stick part of it, and just added grateful in the middle. And I don't know if it picks up on the camera, but I just had little embellishments going around. And it is just a simple stamping card. It's not at all difficult. I didn't need any embossing folders or die cutting machine. I cut everything just on my paper trimmer. So I'm going to show you how to make this one. And then on my Facebook Live, I am going to make the same layout, but I'm going to make a Christmas themed one. And I've got a couple of other ideas about what I might make later on in the week. I want to use some die cuts and just sort of step it up a little bit. But this is the card we're making today. So let me put that on one side. The stamp set is in the mini catalogue, the July to December catalogue. And it's themed so that you can use it for Halloween, you can use it for Christmas, you can use it for Thanksgiving, or just for an autumn fall card. You can even use it just as a hello card. And today I'm going to make mine so that it says just hello. But there's lots of little images that will work for each of the holidays or seasons that you want. And there are a set of dies with it, but I'm not using those today. It's a photopolymer set, so that means it's a clear stamp. You can see through it really easily, and it's easy to line up. So if you're trying to stamp in the middle here, sometimes it can be a little difficult if you can't see the stamp, whereas with the photopolymer ones you can see right through, so you know that you're in the right place. Okay, so let me show you what you need. And I have written all the sizes, so if I just leave this here for a moment or two, you should be able to take a quick screenshot, and then if you want to make the card, you've got all the sizes. I will link this back to my blog too, so that the sizes are on there. Okay, so I'm going to start with my thick basic white. The thick basic white I like for card bases, but I don't always use it for card bases. If I'm going to have lots of layers on the front, then what I tend to do is use the thinner card. But if I've not got many layers, like for this card, then I will use the thicker base. Just makes it stand up better, I think. Okay, so we have that burnished, and I'm going to do this background stamping on it. And you can see I did a little bit in the middle or inside as well. And you could stamp over the whole of the card. That would look really pretty as well. But I'm just going to stamp a little bit on the front. I've chosen the 3 leaves, which is this one. They're like little oak leaves. And they come together all on the same stamp. So you don't have to just stamp one at a time. I'm going to put a little piece of scrap paper down because I want to stamp over the edge. And I'm also going to use my piercing mat just to give me a little bit more cushioning, because normally I use the cushioning from my whole pack of grid paper, but there's only a couple of sheets left, so it's not very cushioned. Okay, now I've got paler autumn colours. I've got Calypso Coral, Crumb Cake, Pale Papaya, and So Saffron. If you don't have lots of colours, let's just move that for a moment. If you don't have lots of colours, choose one of your colours. Like this is Pumpkin Pie, and it's quite a strong orange. But if you stamp off without re-inking, you get 2 or 3 colours. So this is the first generation, they call it, or the first stamping. You can stamp again, and can you see how you get a paler colour? stamp again, and you get a paler colour still. So if you don't have lots of different colours, by doing that, it means that you get paler, darker, like a middle tone, and it looks like you've used lots of colours. So I'm not using that one just now, but it is possible to give yourself lots of colours even if you have a very basic set of inks. Okay, let's get that card back. And I'm going to use what I've got here, Calypso Coral. You see this is a bit darker, but I could do the same again. I could stamp off and have them much lighter. But I'm going to do all of these full strength. And I'm just going to dot a few over. I'm not worried about making a pattern or anything, but I would like some of them to look as though they're coming off the page. So let's pop a few more like this. And you might find that you stamp lots of these, but you don't see them because they're going to be covered up with our little wreath image. And that's okay. It means that sometimes just a tiny bit peeks out. And that's, you know, that's often all you need, just a little bit so that it looks like you've got a background, but really you haven't used anything apart from ink. Let's pop a few on in crumb cake. Oh, I'll put some on the inside too. It still gives you plenty of space to do your, you know, like your message and everything. I tend to turn the stamp around a little bit as well, so that it doesn't look like it's the same stamp everywhere, or they're going in different directions. And I'm really not putting too many on. I might just do the So Saffron. I won't even put the pale papaya ones on. Okay. I know that my band of paper is going to go right across the middle, so probably you won't see much of these ones. Let's pop another one here and a couple more inside. There we are. Oh, that looks a bit too like just one in each corner. I'm going to put a few more inside. I should have put the orange ones in. Never mind. Let's pop this. What have we got? And it's the pale papaya. So I'm going to put it so it's laying down. There we go. That's a bit better. I'm happier with that. Okay. So that seemed like an awful lot of ink and different colours, but it, you know, it wasn't really. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way for now, and we're going to do this centrepiece of the card. So, oops, that one doesn't want to stand up there. So I've got my basic white piece, which is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I'm going to stamp with my pumpkin pie. And you only stamp once, but can you see how you've got lots of gradiated colours? Because it's a distinctive stamp, it means that some parts are light and some parts are dark, but you only have to stamp once. So I've got my pumpkin pie, and what I need to have is the one that's just leaves. And I've found that, let me find the way around that I like it. It's where I have the 2 leaves, there, that way. I like it this way. And you get this one leaf up here and then this separate leaf. And I find that if I choose that for the left-hand side, I like sort of the rest of the wreath. I like how it sits. So I'm going to do that. There's my leaf, that's a single leaf. So I just need to ink it up with my pumpkin pie and then try and stamp this right in the middle. And then, honestly, that's the hardest bit, trying to find it, trying to get it right in the middle. But you don't need to worry too much. If it's not exactly in the middle, it doesn't matter. Okay, I hold it for a few seconds, and then can you see how you get all of those colours? So pretty. So we're done with that one. And I'm going to do the little like stick parts, or the branches, I'm going to do that in Cajun Craze. And that's the colour that we're going to do our accents in for the paper. So it matches really well. Now, I haven't found a particular way that I like this wreath to be. I'm not even sure if it matters. So I don't mind if some of it is going to be not attached to leaves. There might be a way, I just don't know which way it is. But all I do is sort of put it right in the middle. Okay, so some of them might be coming off a little bit. I tried it all sorts of ways and I couldn't get it to line up with every leaf. So that's the way I went. Oh, and while I've got that darker ink out, the Cajun Craze, I'm going to do my sentiment. And on this one I put grateful, but remember I said I'm just going to put hello. And that's because Thanksgiving has already been and gone for us. So I might send this out during fall just as a card to say, hi, how are you doing? But you could make them into lots of different sentiments. You could even put a happy birthday sentiment through if you have one. Somebody has a fall birthday. Okay, I'm just going to try and make this in the middle without you having to just look at the top of my head. Okay, so I think that looks pretty cute. Let's pop that away. And that's all the stamping that it's done. That's everything we need. So I'll pop that on one side and let's start to put the card together. So I needed 2 pieces of Cajun Craze card and I'm using the square piece. It will only be a tiny border. See how it's just got this little 1/8 of an inch border? If you wanted more, you could cut your card so that it was a 1/4 of an inch bigger rather than just 1/8 of an inch bigger. And I see I'm nearly at the end of my tape. Let's see if it'll last for the whole of the card. Okay. So there's a nice little border all the way around. And I'm going to get my base card in. And we'll use our other little pieces that we've cut. So I've got the other piece of Cajun Craze that we cut. This is the piece that's 2 1/8 by 5 1/2. And I've got a little piece of Designer Series paper. Now, I'm actually using the other side. I'm not using the barbecue side. But this is 2 by 5 1/2. And it's from this set, which is the He's the Man set. Always remember to look at the back of your papers because they might be really floral on one side and then, just sort of more muted on the back. Or it might be that it's a busier pattern than you want on the front, but on the back is just perfect. And this is the back of the barbecue paper. And it matches the Cajun Craze. It's a little bit long at the moment, so I need to trim it down. So let me just get my trimmer. I didn't realise I hadn't trimmed that. This is probably a 6-inch piece. And I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/2. Like this. Okay. That's better. And when you put this on, you can see that it's exactly the same length as the card underneath. I didn't want to have a border at the left and the right, but if you do, then just cut this slightly smaller to give yourself a little border that looks like this. Okay, I wanted mine to run off the whole end of the page, so that's why I made it the same length, but not the same width. Put a little bit on the ends, and then I'm going to just pop it onto this. So just a tiny border at the top and the bottom. Oops. I'm just going to go over that with my bone folder. Because where I've cut it, sometimes I think I'm a little heavy-handed when I cut, and I get a little ridge on paper and on card. So sometimes I just need that to go over it to push that ridge down. And then we're going to add this onto the front of the card. And this is such an easy layout. It's one that I use a lot, and it uses up little scraps of designer series paper. When it's only a 2-inch piece, that's not much paper at all. Okay, and you can see I'm just lining mine up on my grid paper here just to make sure that it's level. Okay, now let's find our centerpiece that we made. On my Thanksgiving cards, I glued it straight down, but this time I'm going to raise it up a little bit on dimensionals just to give it a little bit more depth. And you can put it, at the side like this. You can put it in the middle. I actually like them off to the side, but when I put them at the side like this, I'll do a label that goes over here with my sentiment. So for this one, I'm making it go right in the middle. Let's find some dimensionals. And they only need to be in this center part. So let me just make sure I've got it the right way. So I'm only putting a little band of them across here. I probably put it too deep, like this. There. And then I'll take the backs off. That will just give it a little more dimension without it being, too thick to mail or anything. And as I say, it is really nice over at the left, but for this one, I'm just going to eyeball it and try and pop it in the middle. And then try and make sure that it's straight. Yeah, that would work. Okay, and then I used the Pale Papaya ribbon, this open weave ribbon. That's in the annual catalogue. And I've already tied a bow. I find that if I try and tie a bow on camera, I end up with something that looks like a straggly knot. So I've got my bow already tied. And I'm going to find a glue dot. And we'll attach this with a glue dot. Sometimes I have to put them under the tails as well. Let's pop that on there. Can you see how this is already sticking up? So I know, excuse my reach, I know that I'm going to put another glue dot under there. I think it's just the way I tie a bow. I'm going to stick it down so that that little tail catches. There we are. And then I'm going to trim it just a little bit. I've got my ribbon scissors for that. I only use these scissors with a charm on. I try and only use for cutting ribbon, and that keeps them nice and sharp, and it just makes it a little bit easier for me when I come to cut. If I use the ones that I've cut paper with, the ribbon seems to fray, or I can't cut the very edge. There we go. Let's pop those bits away. We don't need those. And then I'll pop these away as well. And last of all, I have some little embellishments. I've got the Fine Sparkle Adhesive Back Gems, and these are the ones from the Kindest Gnomes suite. But these little ones are just perfect. And I put 5 on the other one that I made. So I'm going to start just above the ribbon, and then just to the left, right at sort of the left of the ribbon, but right in the middle. And then my other 3, I know that I can just sort of go round. If I put a third one between these, and then I can just put one halfway between. And I don't have to be putting them on and thinking, oh, is that one in the right place? No, I've got to move that one. I just find that that's a little bit easier to work out where the next one should be. Okay, and so that's it. That's my layout for the whole week, and the same stamp set that I'm going to use all week. So I hope that you might catch my Facebook Live straight on my Facebook page, but if you don't and you're watching this on my YouTube channel, hop over to my blog and there will be all the measurements there for you too. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again later this week. Bye everyone.